Okay, so I'm here with Deborah and Mary. They're here to support their film Andre Van Damme, the story of the Charleston Ballet. Congratulations, welcome to Brussels.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get onto your wonderful dress in a minute. And perfectly suits the, well, kind of suits the film it does. So, can you tell me, Deborah, about the documentary, the background to the film, what it's about?
Oh, yes, okay. Well, the Charleston Ballet, and I don't think anybody knows this, the Charleston Ballet is one of the oldest ballet companies in America. It was founded in 1956. It's been in continuous operation since then, and it's in Charleston, West Virginia, not South Carolina.
Oh, I didn't know there were two, actually.
Yes, there are two, and most people get it confused with Charleston, South Carolina, which is more well known. But this is a little town in West Virginia. It's about 50,000 people, and it has a professional ballet company. And it's been there since, again, 1956. So Mariana is a current dancer in the company. She's a soloist this year.
Hence the ballet themed dress.
Right, right. And she's going to be doing Capella and Giselle. So works of this magnitude are done in West Virginia, which is surprising to some people. I was with the company for about 5 years. Since, because of this documentary, I didn't have enough time to dance in the company anymore.
But you're the film. I mean, it's fair to say you are the film. You're the person who's put this film together, right?
I'm the director, and Mariana's the producer.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the filmmakers, I should say.
Yeah. So it's about the Charleston Ballet. In answer to your question, yeah.
So, how did this? Because if you can tell us again, I know we told us off camera, but how did the film come about? And also, what's remarkable is actually the history that you uncovered when you were starting to put it in. So perhaps, Mary, if you could tell us how this sort of came about.
Well, for a while, we were carpooling to ballet together. We both live about an hour from Charleston.
Not carpool karaokeing.
Oh, no.
No, right. You're singing.
No. But, you know, we would ride up together and back for classes and rehearsal 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And the 60th anniversary season was coming up, and we were just musing. Well, you know, maybe we should do a video about this, you know, something.
A little video.
A little video.
Something on your iPhone.
Yeah.
So just when you said yes to this, was it purely going to be about the Charleston Ballet, but then Andre Van Damme came into it? Is that how it happened?
Well, we thought we'd do a little history, but it was on a very small, informal scale.
It was going to be for like a celebration dinner that was for the 60th season, and then we talked to Miss Polly, the current director of the Charleston Ballet, about it, and she went, well, okay, you know, you can come look at the archives. We've got a lot of stuff about it, and we just kept finding.
Well, the Charleston Ballet has kept their archives in impeccable shape.
Oh, see, that's a massive plus.
You know, when we started to see, I mean, for any filmmaker out there, when you started to see these pristine photographs
that's heaven.
that were there, oh yeah, it's a treasure trove. And
programs, costumes in mint condition.
And old video.
So tell me, because often when you're putting any film together, and I know this through brutal reality, and particularly documentaries, trying to find archive material, and then you've got to pay for archive materials. How did that? Did you have to pay for this, or did they?
Well, we applied for a grant, and we got one grant. We're still on a micro budget, really, but we got one grant to help us through, and that paid for our crew. It paid for most of the editing. We didn't take salaries.
No.
You know, obviously, if we did, it wouldn't have gotten made, so we didn't take a salary. But we had this small grant, and once we got into it, then we started to learn about the history of Andre Van Damme and what that man did.
Yeah, and tell us, I mean, again, if you could just mention, it's a fascinating history behind this guy.
Yeah, I mean, we have a Tuesday class for, you know, beginning adult ballet class that we always go to, and there were 3 women in it that came every week, Mary Lou, Amelia, and Jean.
They're in their 80s.
In their 80s, and they were charter members of the Charleston Ballet.
So that means they've been around for some time.
They were there when the company was founded. They were original dancers, and they still take, and then we started talking to them about Mr. Van Damme, who they still hold in such high regard. I mean, and they were just over the moon when the project began to develop.
And more than that, when we started digging into who was this man, who was Andre Van Damme, what did he do? And we saw that he was not only a star dancer here in Brussels, he was what's it called, danseur étoile?
Premier danseur étoile.
Premier danseur étoile. at the Brussels Royal
The
Opera.
first one.
Oh, so he was
The first
a
one.
real,
He was a star
a
here.
real star.
He
Yeah.
was
Oh,
an
yeah.
absolute star.
And no one knew that.
No.
No.
I had no idea.
Oh, but of course we're going back to a day where we don't have the media. We can
Right.
find out
Yeah.
everything instantly.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but generally, you know, it was not common knowledge in the studio.
No, I mean, I danced there my whole life, and he was just
He was just
Just Andre Van
a
Damme, yeah.
portrait on the wall, you know?
Yeah. And so when we found out that he was not only a great artist in Europe, but he was also a war hero. And he joined the Belgian resistance during the war.
Fighting the Nazis. I think,
Fighting-
yeah.
he and his wife, not just him. His wife
Exactly,
joined it as
his
well.
wife as well. They both joined the resistance. They were funneling small arms to the Belgian resistance fighters through the opera ballet. You see the documentary, you'll see he hid it in his ballet boot.
Yeah.
He hid the guns in his ballet
In
boot.
his dressing
in his
room.
dressing room. He'd go off, do the performance, come back, the guns were gone. And so that's basically what he did in the resistance. But eventually he became a knight in the Order of Leopold here in Brussels for that work in the resistance and his work in the arts as well.
Okay.
So we uncovered all of that, Steve. You know, we started to dig into it. We found out who he was, what he meant. And then the next step after that was to find out what he meant to the people of Charleston and the state of West Virginia. Right?
I mean, there were so many people just around the city. We had no idea. Everyone knew Andre Van Damme. I mean, I met a religious sister the other day who said, "Oh, when I was young, I took ballet from Andre Van Damme. We've got nuns in the ballet."
Really?
It's enormous impact. Well, we were at a film festival in Napa, California. We won Best Documentary out there, and we were giving our Q&A after the screening, and this lady says, "I think I see myself in the film." She said, "I studied with Andre."
She was a student in the film.
Napa, California. You know, that's very far away from West Virginia.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
And what's the chances of that?
How much?
What's the chances of that? I mean,
Exactly.
can you believe it?
Exactly. He taught so many
Yeah.
that it's just.
He changed the culture in Charleston.
He really
is what
did.
it did.
So the story that you started, the Colonel, obviously grew to be something unexpected and brilliant. So then
Yeah.
I'm assuming what you've then got to do is adjust it to fit the narrative, because now it's taken on a whole new life. And
Yeah.
I assume this is your first producer.
Yes.
So of
Yeah.
course you're thrown in, and you suddenly realised it's a really complicated job.
Oh, it was.
And they're all coming up to you saying,
Yeah.
"How much is this going to cost?" That'd be the first thing they say, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
But so how was it for you doing it? I mean, was it what you expected, or was it horrific, or?
No, I had the time of my life. I mean, I had grown up in the Charleston Ballet. This was, everything I had liked to do. And then suddenly I began to find out so much more that I didn't know what was there. And it just made the experience of dancing there and just, saying being a part of the ballet was, it became
Part of
so much
history.
more meaningful.
Let me interject. One of the things that she did, because we are on such a micro budget, this lady, the producer, actually photographed over 1,200 still images. Because as the dancers would come in, the older dancers would come in, they'd bring their scrapbooks.
Well,
and-
one brought 4 suitcases full of
Well, you could use them.
photographs.
And we could use it. And so, but we needed digital images of it. So she took out her iPhone.
Oh, she was scanning. Oh, my
And she
God.
was the one that had to. So I would go take the interview. I would take them in, put them in the chair, and get the interview. She's out in the lobby, snapping away. And we figured out it was over 1,200, right?
Oh,
That you
over
took.
2,100.
Over 2,100. Sorry, I had the numbers reversed. 2,100 photographs. So I mean, think about that. It's not.
That's huge.
It's huge.
So now you've become involved in filmmaking.
Yeah.
Is it now something you'd like? Is this a new passion for you?
It's really given me much more of appreciation for what I do now. I'm not no longer just a casual film watcher, but I understand what happens behind the scenes. And
You know
it's
it's a drug, like a drug. You know.
oh yeah.
Honestly, there was a filmmaker I was talking to. This is a true story, and she worked on CSI. I think it was CSI. This is kind of a warning, right? When you hear, and she directed loads of episodes, quite well known. She was telling me she used to be a heroin addict. She gave it up, and she said filmmaking is more addictive than heroin.
Yeah.
And I said, really? And she said, yeah, because once you get into it, you can't stop.
I certainly wouldn't say no to another opportunity to work on something like
It
this.
is. I mean, I know the hell that you have to go through, because even the 2,100 pictures, I can only imagine the time that took.
And then logging each one, detailing who brought it in, who's in the picture, what year it was taken, if it's a ballet, what
She did logs. She transcribed my interviews. It's just
Brought the food for everyone.
Bought the food for, swept the floors,
Oh, no,
whatever
that's a
needed to be
producer.
done.
Yeah, no, I know this.
Yeah.
Bringing the food.
When you have no budget, that's what you have to do. You have to wear many hats.
Yeah.
I mean, I sweep the floors too as the director.
Yeah.
But you've been involved in filmmaking. I know we spoke off camera, but you kind of know the gig. That's the thing,
Yeah.
isn't That's the difference.
I've been doing documentaries about 25 years.
Yeah, so you know exactly what's
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
Having said that,
Yeah.
you've still got to do all the research, got to find the pictures,
Yeah.
you've got to get it all together.
Well, with this documentary, we had to construct our narrative.
Yeah.
It started as a nice idea, but then you've got to take it into dramatic construction with conflicts and leading to a climax and a resolution. You've got to create your narrative.
And keep it interesting, that's the thing.
Oh, of course.
Mix it up constantly, and that's one of the things we do. Mariana, we just won an Emmy, by the way. I don't know if I told you or
Wow,
not.
yeah, you did.
In the States, we just
I'm
won
sorry, I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really was. For arts programming.
Amazing.
And so I wanted to, you might ask Mariana about her impression of the Emmy, because it was her first Emmy. And the first time she was at the ceremony.
Your fourth Emmy?
Well,
But so you won an Emmy on your first film?
Yeah.
That's pretty good on your CV, isn't it?
she's 22.
Well, I was 21 when I won it.
Oh, all right, technically. She had a birthday, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to open doors, of course.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It's a game changer in the States. I don't know how it's regarded over
Oh,
here.
no, even here, in the UK, everyone knows it's massive. Because we see it as the Oscars of TV, frankly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even though it's arts programming, which is not one of the major categories, arts is.
It was still a pretty competitive field. I mean.
Oh boy, howdy.
So you get the trophy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or do they-
we'll show you a picture.
Oh yeah, we've
pictures.
got the trophy.
We've got the trophy, and because it was her first time, when you win, then you go backstage. They take your official picture. You have your official Emmy picture, and the photographer said, "It's your first one, isn't it?"
He's like, oh yeah,
We have to get her
you're not
by
breathing.
herself.
I can tell it's your first one.
Because that's like winning an Oscar, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's not something I ever thought would happen to me. I mean, not because I thought the project was anything. I mean, I absolutely
your parents
thought
must be absolutely made up for it.
my mom and my aunt got to come to the ceremony, and they were just. I told them before, we might not win. You don't have to come.
Right.
It's a bit of a drive. And they went, Mary, when do you think we'll ever get to go to one of these again?
So go for it while you can.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So, it gives, it really helps you market your film.
And deserved, I mean, massively deserved. Because obviously, like I've seen it, and but, I mean, it gets back to being the fact that you've been making them, so that's woven through this, of course.
Yeah.
It has to come out of my brain first. That's what I tell people. I have to do the first draft, put the first draft down, pulling from all the interviews, pulling from all the stills, pulling from what music I know I want to use. Oh, by the way, we didn't have money for music, so I used what was in my library already.
Original music.
And cut it to fit, and I was doubling and tripling cues and all things. There's no money. Ordinarily, because I'm a musician too. So
Which is again going to help massively.
As a musician, I always want original music because I think that's you have to
of course.
match your semiotics in the oral and visual realms. It has to go together. And but when you don't have the bucks for it,
you've got to cut cloth, haven't you?
You've got to make do. So.
And what was the first cut? What was the run? Because I'm assuming you got it down to a level you thought this okay, but then you honed it. But the first cut, what was that coming in at?
That's a good point. I think I was well over an hour. A PBS hour, but this was always going to go to PBS, and it's played PBS in the States.
So does that mean 50 minutes?
56 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yep.
Is your target. Now you don't have to make that anymore. You can throw in some filler at the end.
But you can't go over that.
They really, if you can pull in a 56-46 show, you stand a real good chance of getting in.
Oh, so if you can get it precisely on that,
Yes,
you're laughing.
exactly.
Because they're going to go, well, it's made for off we go.
Yeah. I know the Brits don't have that, because we're Downton Abbey fans.
Oh,
and so,
You'll have to see the film soon then.
Some of the Downton Abbey episodes that have played, some of them were down in the 40s someplace, and some of them were over an hour.
That's right.
You just don't.
No, we don't care.
Yeah, but the Americans, 56-46.
Very strict about time.
Yeah.
So they choose, a lot of it's chosen on the runtime. So if you hit the money,
it's easier for the programmers if they see a 56-46 show. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about filler or putting anything else in. I can just throw it in the slot. So it's an easy slide for them. you know. So that's why, and I think the first draft, to answer your question, was maybe an hour 11, something like that.
So it's not a huge. That's okay. I was expecting you to say 2 hours. I was thinking, my God, how are you going to cut that?
No. Because I knew what I needed in narrative to keep it going.
Oh, and of course, you've got such a back catalogue. You know the gig, don't you?
It's not my first rodeo.
No,
you know.
no. Yeah, you know
And we only had about a week of filming anyway.
Oh, that's all we could afford. I think we had
Less than a
6
week.
days.
Yeah.
See, that's nothing, is it?
No.
6 days to do
But
it.
then I suppose you're cutting that into stills and excerpts and stuff. But even so, it's still there's still not much footage.
Yeah.
Because you're still trying to tell the story.
Yeah.
No, that's why the archival footage. Oh, I should tell you one thing. I did a really exhaustive search on archival footage. A lot of documentary people are interested in that. And some of it's very, very interesting because we did not want to use the standard World War II stuff.
Right.
So we went over here to the Belgian National Archives and went through their stock to find really good war footage. And then we found an interesting film in the Resistance that was actually made by resistance fighters in the year after the war ended, 1946. They all got together and said, we need to put down on film what we did in the war.
Yeah.
And one of the shots matched perfectly. A blonde lady like Maggie Van Damme, a dark-haired man. We're sitting on a park bench passing a small gun. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So you get lucky sometimes, right? And we did.
Yeah.
I know it is. I mean, it's a magnificent film, magnificent achievement.
Oh, thank
Is
you.
it everything you wanted? I mean, I'm sure it is, but it is the
No,
finished product.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it is not. I would have loved to have had money to bring in a ballet expert like Jennifer Homans, who wrote Apollo's Angels, you know, something like that. Somebody from New York that's done a lot of ballet research. I would have loved to have her comment on the importance of regional ballet outside of major metro areas like New York and Paris and Chicago. You know, Charleston, West Virginia. What's important about that? And yet it is. So I would have loved to have had that expert in there.
Trouble is, these things all cost time and money, don't they?
Time and money. And we don't have it on this project.
No.
But even so, to get an Emmy for your first, still pretty impressive, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
To do that with that is astounding.
I mean, well, you know, filmmakers' wish list, things like that. I would have brought in more people, famous people that had danced with Andre, or their relatives or something like that.
Because, I mean, Andre was friends with Margot Fontaine.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
He partnered with her when she would tour
They were
soldiers in
That's
World War
seriously
II.
cool, actually.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and she came to West Virginia, and they'd
Mark
meet up and
Fontaine,
have
really?
dinner.
Yeah, she danced in West Virginia, and they had dinner beforehand. There's a picture of them all sitting around, and then
smiling and.
I mean, that's up there with like Nureyev, isn't it? I mean, it's
I mean, she's one of the only prima ballerina étoiles as well. I mean, prima ballerina assoluta. She's only one of what 9 that have been given that title in the world.
So I mean, I can tell you both are deeply overwhelmed by this film, and the love for this film. It really shines through.
Yeah.
So, where do you go from here?
Oh, that's a good question. She's doing Capella and Giselle this year.
Because it's Miss Polly's 30th anniversary as director of the Charleston Ballet. There have only been 2 directors of the ballet, Andre Van Damme and Kim Polly. In our over 60 years, it's been the 2 of them, and it's her 30th anniversary as director. It's also the 100th birthday of Andre Van Damme in December. So it's
So they're doing these classic story ballets.
you know, her favorite roles, her most memorable performances, and clips of both of them in the documentary.
I'm still dancing. I'm not with that company. I'm with
No.
another company, and we haven't announced our season yet. But we'll be doing that this year.
And that's still, you know, those are just the 2 big shows. But we're the only company in the state to have a full live orchestra with our Nutcracker production.
Oh, is that for this year?
Every year.
Every
Oh,
year.
you do Nutcracker every year?
Every year.
Every year.
Every
I was about to say every year, but stupidly I'll be thinking Nutcracker Christmas, and I wonder why.
Oh yeah. And
It sells out, Steve.
I think it does,
You
yeah.
know,
we've got a live orchestra with it. How could it not? We completely sold out our performances last year, in that auditorium holds
in
about
a 3-balcony house, a beautiful 3-balcony
So
house.
it's properly big.
about 2,000.
No, I don't think so. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Somewhere
I
around
don't
that
know.
So you'll be part of that production,
Yes.
as in you're performing in that
Yes,
production.
yes.
And what will your role be?
I don't know about Nutcracker yet. That's we
She
have to
hasn't
get
announced
we have to
yet.
get through Coppelia first.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot.
But you're doing a variation in Coppelia.
Yes,
right?
yeah, I'll be the worker variation and one of Swanhilda's friends, and but I've done Nutcracker
Too many times.
at least 10 years.
Yeah, but the audience love it. That's the
Oh,
reason.
yeah,
And of
from-
course, it's the ultimate Christmas ballet.
Yeah,
isn't it?
from when I was
When you hear
7,
Waltz with the Flowers, oh
7 or
gosh.
8. There's pictures somewhere of us doing that
There
together.
is, there is. Waltz with the Flowers is finally done at the end. It always
Yeah.
goes through my head.
I mean,
yeah.
we have it snow during Waltz of the Snowflakes.
I actually like Snow better than Flowers.
Oh.
The Snow, the other core number in it. Oh, I think Snow is absolutely gorgeous. At the end of Act
if
1.
the
Yeah.
conductor plays it at tempo.
That's true.
He tends to go a bit
Slow.
slow.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard.
You know, that's it. 20 minutes have gone.
Oh my god.
Something
I
like that.
told you. You wind us up and we can talk for another
Oh
20.
my god.
Like a mechanical toy from.
Swanhilda.
I've seen it.